Hey guys, what's up? So today is May 17th, and that means 11 years ago today is the day that I got married. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I've had a few requests that I talk a little bit more about what it was like getting married, or like being married in the marriage. I've talked a little bit about like leading up to the marriage, why I got married and stuff like that, but I'm going to talk about it again. And also, if this is the first video of mine that you're ever watching, welcome, hi. This might be a little confusing for you. I am a transgender man, so I was born female and I transitioned to male. And I was married to a dude at some point in my life when I was 21 years old. So yeah, I suggest you watch the other videos where I talk about it. I won't go into too much detail about that part of it, but I do want to talk about my feelings around this date, and you know, I'll talk about basically why I got married and all those sorts of things. Yeah, so I'm sorry in advance. This video is going to be a little bit all over the place, a little rambly. I'm gonna try my best to stay on track, but no guarantees. So I'll start from the fact that, so I grew up in a Christian home. I went to a Christian school from like my whole pre-K, kindergarten, all the way up through high school. I went to the same school from first grade through high school. It was a little Christian school, kind of like from locally to where I'm at now. And my first experience of not being in a Christian school was college. So as you can imagine, it was a bit of a wake-up call when I hit college. But yeah, I was kind of in a little Christian conservative bubble, and I don't want you to think that I'm putting like a negative I don't want you to think that I am putting a negative spin on the fact of how I was raised. I think I was raised to the best of my parents' ability, and their intentions were good. I feel like I've made some people close to me kind of upset, saying that, I was really unhappy because of how I was raised. And it's just like, that's not the case. It's the fact that, Christianity doesn't have a whole lot of space for people like me, especially when you're growing up in it. And there's no way that like my parents would have known that I was trans. And hopefully, Christianity can evolve and change and learn to accept all sorts of different people. Things are happening, things are changing slowly, but they are. And yeah, anyways, moving on from that. So, grew up in a Christian home, school, everything, Christian bubble. And on top of that, I kind of had this personality where rules, I'm a fan of them. I love structure. I love knowing what I can do, what I can't do, black and white. It's great. If you've ever done the 5 Tendencies Personality quiz by Gretchen Rubin, I'm an upholder. You should do that quiz. I'll put that down below too. So basically, I follow the rules, and I do so for my own expectations, like the inner expectations and outer expectations. So yes, I care about meeting my own personal expectations and others. So, I let the fear of what others thought of me really dictate my life for a really long time, as well as my own. But I think Christianity for me, I was a Jesus freak. I loved God. When I commit to something, I'm in it, and I was very committed to God. And I really think I found comfort in the structure of religion, having rules and guidelines to follow. It was like my guideline to life, and it was comforting to know that I wasn't alone. As an anxious person, feeling like someone else is in control and you can give up your anxiety to them is, it's great. It fit me well, and it served me well for the time that it did, until I realized that I was different. So why I got married is because, yeah, I was committed to God. I was all in, and I wanted to live a godly life. I wanted to follow all the rules. I was a virgin when I got married, and I thought that the attraction, the romantic feelings, all of those things would follow after marriage, after the wedding night. You get the point of that. But it didn't. And I was pretty upset and sad and depressed about that. I didn't know what was wrong. I felt like something was wrong with me. I was really unhappy, and I still tried to be like the best wife, best godly wife that I could be, but I was incredibly unhappy. And the more I tried, the more unhappy I got. And I was only 21 years old, so I was kind of just a baby and didn't know who I was. Going into the marriage, I didn't have any ill intentions or deceitful intentions. I wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm gay, I'm trans, I am marrying this guy so that people don't think otherwise. It was more so of denial, not having the information that a lot of people have now. Like, there was the internet, but it wasn't, it wasn't as full of information when it came to being trans yet. And I didn't really have an example of what being transgender meant. There was always like Jerry Springer growing up, but there was no positive image of what being trans was. There was no visibility of a transgender man. I had no idea that medical transition was the thing. So not really knowing that that's what was going on with me, I just continued to live my life, committed to God, until I couldn't. And my husband was stationed in Germany, and when I started figuring things out slowly, that I had an attraction for women and that I wasn't necessarily in the place that I should be for a marriage. And I can't really discuss in length about what it was like in the marriage because someone else is involved, and that's not necessarily fair. I feel like we were both super young, like 21 years old. I don't encourage marriage at that age for anyone, whether you're trans or not, just because anyone hardly knows who they are at 21 years old. I did not know who I was, and I feel like it's always good to have some time to explore. Self-discovery is so important when you're young, and those years especially. So getting married was not, and I don't think it's ideal for anybody, but I don't know that it would have worked out if I was, whether I was trans or not. But that's really all I can actually say. I don't want to go into too much detail. A lot of it I feel like wouldn't be fair to talk about, and also I feel like I blacked a lot of it out. Seriously, I don't like to recall a lot of it for like a numerous amount of reasons. I feel like it's something, if I know you well, I would talk to you about it. It's not something that I necessarily feel like I want to hide, but I don't want to share to the world on the internet. Those who are close to me probably will get to, learn about that if they wish. But there's a lot of reasons I don't want to recall a lot of it. And one of them being that it just reminds me that I wasn't born male, and I wish I was. And I know a lot of your journey makes you who you are today, but sometimes there are those moments where you just wonder what it would be like if life didn't meet you with so much resistance upon birth. I've had to work really hard to where I've gotten today, and I'm proud of myself for that, but at the same time I'm not proud at some of the decisions I made along the way. Sometimes I think of my life as this: I'm on top of a ski slope. You have like the green dot easy slope, and then you have the black diamond slope, and I feel like I always choose the black diamond even when I'm not ready, and I just dive down, and then I have to figure out how not to die and how to make it to the bottom anyways. And that's basically the story of my life. For some reason I always choose the hard path. Most of the times I've discovered that when I get myself into something deep or hard, it's because I'm not being authentic, or I'm not being myself, and that explains a lot of the marriage route. But at the same time, I feel like I didn't completely have the tools to discover who I was, but I definitely wish I would have waited, spent more time in college and things like that. I think my first encounter with someone of the LGBT community was my boss. I worked at this grocery store, and she was the first gay person that I had ever known personally. And I feel like even that experience opened up my mind to see that here's this person, she's openly gay, she's very kind, she's awesome, she's successful. And although I wasn't ready to like accept that within myself, just seeing her live her life, just an average person who is a good person. Christianity doesn't exactly teach you that a gay person is a good person. It's always like a gay person is wrong. They're going to hell. They're sinful. They are perverted and sexually perverted, basically. So to meet someone who was none of these things was really eye-opening, and it kind of just started from there. And part of me hopes to be that kind of person for other people to see as well. But yeah, it was all part of the experience, the life experience, getting older and opening my mind. And I wish I could have done that without having a marriage involved. As pertaining to my husband, ex-husband, God, that's so weird to say. I don't talk to him. I think a lot of people wonder if, we talk or if he knows about my transition. And the last time we did interact, it was via email. I did tell him I was transitioning. I never heard from him again. I'm sure this is super weird for him. I do not blame him for, not responding to that. I'm sure it's a weird experience for him to think about or talk about. I often imagine the situation where they're all sitting around like the Thanksgiving table each year, and then one of his family members brings up the fact that his the first person he married is was his wife, and now is his ex-husband. So yeah, like I know he's remarried. That's all I know, really. So he's probably got an interesting story to tell if he wants to talk about how his first marriage ended up. And in a sense, I don't... It's kind of funny if you think about it. Like, he was married to a dude. This whole time I thought I was the gay one. But anyways, yeah, I think that it's definitely an interesting thing to think about. Anyways, told you this video was going to be all over the place. But when it pertains to religion and getting married and stuff like that, I feel like I still hold on to a feeling of hurt or anger towards religion for sure. When you commit yourself to God in the way that I did, it's almost like you're promised a certain amount of security, that things are going to work out. And here I am today, realizing that a lot of that isn't necessarily true, at least from the guidelines that I was taught from. I know, there's a difference between being spiritual, being religious, and I've fallen into this category right now of just not wanting to really associate myself with Christianity at all, which I know, like my grandma's probably turning in her grave and everyone is like so sad for my soul right now. But I think I'm just in another moment of self-discovery, and I'm just kind of letting the world guide me as to where I come spiritually. I'm open. There comes certain times in life where you just have to be open to things and figure out what's next. So that's where I'm at this point with that. But as far as, being married in my past, it's definitely an experience that has led me to where I am today. And it has shown me what fear can do. I'm constantly battling fear. It's probably going to be a lifelong struggle. I've had a lifelong struggle with social anxiety and anxiety in general. I fight it every day. I fail every day. I fail in big ways a lot of times when it comes to anxiety, and I still let it win. But I never stop fighting, and that's basically what I've learned from the whole situation. I'll never let fear run my life in the way that it did at that time, especially since a lot of that fear came from, you know, being afraid of what people thought of me. So it was kind of like I was letting not only my fear, but the fear of other people's judgment, and life's too short for that. Like, it's my life. I get to live my life. No one else gets to live my life. They can live theirs, but this is all mine, and I only get one chance, and I never want to basically give my life to someone else. It's not worth it. And I'll continue to fight my fears, for sure, fight my anxiety. And you know, you have those days where it wins and you take a few steps back. Then you have the days where you win, and you just progressively gain confidence, and the more you do it, the more successful you are. And yeah, it's such a learning process. And looking back, I've come a long way, and that's not something that I want to forget. And it's definitely made me a stronger person. So that's something that I want to take away from that. And I think that's about it. I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. But yeah, so those are some reasons that I got married, and hopefully that answers some of the questions. I'm not really sure. But if you have any more questions, feel free to leave them down below. Peace out, guys. I will see you next time.